Yeah, I'm doing pretty fine actually. It's a little bit, what can I say? A lot of things happening right now. We kind of just release day today, and we just released a new video and stuff like that. So it's been, yeah, a lot of cool things going on.
It's the busiest day. Congratulations on the release of that new album. I'll imagine you are right now just feeling a certain sense of relief. It's out, the hard work is effectively done, and now
Mm.
it's up to the fans.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a really good feeling. I mean, we worked so hard on this album. We kind of really pushed the limits of whatever I kind of think. We really worked hard on this one, and
Mm.
it tastes really good getting it finally releasing it, and it's up to the fans and up to the world basically what they think of it. But as musicians, we are really happy with this one. I think we kind of nailed it
Well, of course, I mean, it's,
perfectly according to the musical ideas we had back in the day when we started doing this album.
uh, I mean, it's not new territory for you. This is obviously 11th album, which in itself is a momentous achievement. I mean, are you proud of that longevity?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm kind of on one side, I'm proud, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, and all that. In the other
Mm.
side, I'm kind of, has been a long ride. I mean, it takes its toll in a sense. It's a tough business sometimes.
Mm.
So it's been a lot of fights. Maybe fights I didn't really need to do in my life. But it all comes down to this kind of, at least for me, everlasting passion for making music, to create something, to weave this musical universe that I've been working on for so many years now. And yeah, it's quite crazy thinking back on all the years that has passed by and all the things that we have achieved, the things we have done, things we have countries we have traveled and all that. It's huge in so many ways.
I mean, that longevity, it's come from a mindset, from your specific mindset. Can you nail that down? Is it, say, something like you've never actively looked to be commercially successful, or it is just,
Sorry.
oh, I think we cut out a little bit there.
So it was just my phone chiming because it's day to day. Everybody wants to call me, and so yeah, but no problem. Just
Yeah,
repeat the last few sentences, please.
yeah, the longevity coming from a specific mindset. Say something that you as a person, or you as a unit, the band, actively
Hmm.
looking, perhaps not to. You've never looked to be actively commercially successful, or you've always focused heavily on the music more than anything else.
Yeah. For me, I think it kind of boils down to the fact that I always, cherished my what can I say, my own passion for making music. It's
Mm.
something I have very strong feelings about that, and my focus has always been making music and the music um, alone in a sense. I've never, when I started out back in the day, I never had any idea about, making this a career or being famous or the
Yeah.
money or whatever, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The whole game of it. I've always been very focused on the music thing, the project I have going, which is making music, being creative, and I've been clinging onto that for so many years, or all my career basically, and I think that has been my way of surviving through this longevity all these years, because I've never done, and sometimes tough decisions though, but I've never done any commercial compromises. We have
Yeah.
never forced anything. We haven't done things that we didn't really want to do. So we haven't been in a situation really that we have felt, we as a band and me as a musician have felt that we have sold our heart and soul, so to speak, to whatever. So that, I think, that makes us, at least for me, that makes it possible to stay in this for such a long time. That
Mm.
I always, when things is kind of windy around me and things is happening, or bad or good things, I can always look back and cling on to the very basic idea of the band, and that is the pure passion for making music. And as long as I'm able to hold a firm grip on this, maybe that's just a mental way of explaining it, but as long as I kind of is able just have this firm grip on this musical idea I kind of established back in the day. It's all good. It's all good, and nothing can kind of take me down, so to speak. And that's a kind of cool thing. I kind of realized it dawned on me when we kind of finished this album and done several interviews and all that stuff. It's that it's such a cool feeling. One thing is releasing the album and get it out there and all that stuff, but I've done it before.
Yeah.
And sometimes I kind of, where is the excitement? And what should I expect? I've done this so many times before. I've been in this business all my life. But the feeling is as strong as ever before. That's my point. That I feel as excited now today as I felt back in '96 or something when we released the first album, and that's kind of even puzzles me a little bit, because in theory, I could lean back now. I don't really need to do this anymore because of whatever reasons. I could lean back, drink beer, and get fat and enjoy life. I'm in that age kind of thing. So I have a family, I have a house, I have everything set. It's no big. I don't need to struggle for much anymore, really, except for my music. And that is what makes me, I guess, fire up and struggle in this life. The music, this. And for me, music is ageless in a sense. It doesn't really bow down because I'm aging, or it's something that has been for so long time an important part of my life, a kind of integrated part of my life. That it's me. That's me living. My music is me living in a sense, if you get my point. So as long as my heart beats, I guess there will be some music in the other end in some or another way in the future as well, I guess.
Well, you've managed to keep. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's my mindset on it, basically.
Well, you've managed to keep yourself so incredibly grounded, and as you say, you don't have to do it, but you want to. That's very much a thing in rock and metal, I guess, where no one ever really goes away.
Yeah. I mean, it's and I think my main point here is that the music we do is it's passionate. I mean, we don't even at this point. Of course, now it's a different business than in the early days. Of course, now we earn some money on it. We are able to travel around the world, meet fans and people, and all that, and that's of course great. But in the end of the day, for me, it's always boils down to this passion for making music, and for me that's basically living. That's my fights in life. That's where I kind of challenge myself. That's where I kind of reach for new heights or whatever. That's where I climb on phones all the time. Sorry.
No, it's all right. So a lot has happened in the Borknagar camp since the release of the last album. How is the general vibe as a unit right now?
It's very good. It's incredible. It's feels so. I feel I think that I've never felt this sense of teamwork and unified creative work. I don't know how to put it really, but I feel I feel very unified with the band in a sense. We feel like a musical, creative, artistic, whatever unit in a sense. That we haven't really achieved. We haven't achieved it before, but not in this extent, I would say. And of course, I mean, we had some lineup changes after Winter Tries, the whole Winter Try circle, due to different reasons. Some of it we saw coming, some of it was basically planned, and we had to take some tough decision in order to preserve the band and the future for the band, of course.
Yeah.
So I compromise. When it comes to band in the internal politics of the band, I try to be diplomatic and try to make everybody happy, and we it's important to have a good atmosphere in the band, but sometimes tough decisions is needed to continue the musical visions that we have in a sense. And you know, there is no bad blood in the lineup changes we had, I would say. I mean, we with the board we saw that coming because he's very busy with Lepros and all other kinds of stuff
Of
going on.
course.
He's a kind of high, you know, he's entertaining. He's doing drum shows in, you know, Singapore and stuff like that. So he's, you know, he's a kind of different entertainer than us, I guess. And the same thing with Andreas was a little bit of the same because, you know, he had a bad accident when we did the previous album and got some injuries, lost a lot of his hearing on one ear and stuff.
Yeah.
And he also he has a really, you know, high-end job in Sweden when it comes to the educational system and stuff. And so yeah, you know, it just felt, to me, didn't really feel like a lineup change or a kind of a disruption of any kind. It was more like a transition, I would say.
Yeah.
With a goal that, you know, with my never-ending goal that I want to, you know, continue with my musical creation of making this, you know, musical universe. I want to move forward. I want to do it. And on those things, I don't compromise. You really don't compromise. You know, musical goals is something I just do. And sometimes I have to do some tough decisions, of course, but you know, that's the way life is, I guess.
Absolutely. And from an outside perspective, just looking in, and whether it be listening to the new album or just generally reading up on where things are, this does feel like a re-energized Borknagar.
Oh yeah, I feel so as well. And I mean, I think that was what we kind of did in all this. I mean, we when we after this certain cycle with Winter Tries, we I guess personally at least, I had a couple of months. I just told my people, my team and Central Media and everybody, I need a couple of months just off now. I just need to get come to terms with things a little bit because I lost my father in all this process also, and that was a big, you know, I guess it was some of my the toughest period in my life, and I had to deal with it. Practicalities, but also, you know, the sorrow, and all of a sudden my mother is alone and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of things. My children suddenly didn't have a grandfather anymore and stuff. You know, so I needed a couple of months, you know, to just, you know, deal with things basically. But then we kind of sat down at some point early last year, I guess, and me, Simon, and Lars, which has been a creative force in the band for quite many years now, and we just, okay, where do we go? And we had a quite basic plan about, okay, we just want to take a step up in terms of music, you know, doing an album, and we want to take a step up in terms of doing live.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we did basically. I would say, I would hope.
Well, it really is. True North really is an incredible release. It's something that makes you feel while also touching a number of bases, from haunting melodies to headbanging heaviness, uplifting highs, depressive lows. Do you feel like you accomplished what you set out to do over 2 years ago when you kind of started the writing process?
I still try to accomplish it, so to speak. To me, it's like this is a never-ending mountain trip that I never really want. I try to get to the top, but I never really get to the top. If you get my point, because I don't really want to get to the top either, because, you know, that in that case my travel would be over. If you get my point.
Yeah, the only way is down afterwards.
Yeah, you know. So it's how, you know, yeah, I guess it's you know, the visions, the ideas, the musical dreams that I have, if you can call it that, it's like always moving, always changing a little bit. And I said to a local newspaper that doing an interview with me a couple of months ago that I'm still trying to find my sound. And, you know, yeah, and I kind of need it. I mean, I guess we are a little bit, somehow a little bit, you know, people know our sound, you know, we have our expression and all that. But you know, that doesn't mean that we have landed things. That just mean that we are on this musical journey still, and probably will be till the day everything is done, kind of thing. But yeah, so it's always trying to take a step forward, always trying to move forward. And for me, what is important, maybe more so the older I get, is that I firmly believe in general and general musical theory. In my point of view, it's that genuinely good music, that it survives everything. As I said once in a press thing or something like that, I believe that generally good music can move mountains in kind of a metaphoric way. And I believe that. I believe that. And for me, it's always been very, very important to me do music that is real.
Yeah.
That is not forced, that is not fake, that is not commercialized just to please people. That's, for example, why we've never done any live album or live DVDs, because, I don't know. I mean, the album is what we do. I don't want to milk the fans or, push out something, a special release just to make some extra bucks or whatever. For me, it's honesty. Authenticity about what we do is very, very important, and to do that, in my opinion, you need to, in musical speaking and lyrical speaking, I think it has to mirror life with all its facets. I mean, as you said, we have the headbanging part, we have the more tender part, we have the more, up and downs, the different, and all these layers in my head is kind of a mirage of my life, in a sense. It's life is sometimes brutal. People die, close people around you die. Death is brutal. On the other side, sometimes life can be wonderful. Other times life can be, all these facets of life is something I want to bring into my music, in a sense. And I think we succeeded even more so now on this new album, True Enough, because we kind of had the idea about wanted to get more realism into the music, in a sense. I mean, sometimes on the previous albums we have had this cover which is a little bit photoshopped. We have lyrics which is a little bit more philosophic, a little bit cloudy, more kind of whatever. And but on this album we really wanted to be a little bit more close to reality, in a sense. That's why we have this picture of a mountain on the cover. Lyrics is a little bit more direct. It's more straight in your face. And also musically speaking, we was kind of seeking this very kind of powerful, but still very close, real, organic sound. And I think we succeed pretty good with this one.
Oh, absolutely. The way you describe it is so apt. It's amazing. You mentioned about touring. Where does the land lay in regards to tours? With a new album, there's kind of an autumn expectation, and to be fair, necessity for most to get out and play live. But that's not always been the case with you guys. Is that changing?
Yeah, I mean, we as I said before, we had an basic idea about taking a step up also in terms of live, and that means by quality wise doing live shows and all that stuff. But also it means kind of doing more of it. That's something we want. Next year we have 25 years or something like that. And my way or our way of celebrating that would be, and is at least intended plan to do a little bit more live.
Yeah.
We just recently did a new booking deal in Europe with Doomstar Booking, which is like pretty kind of doing a lot of stuff these days. So in terms of they do Mayhem, then they do Galsville, they do Abbas, and a lot of big acts these days.
Yeah.
So our initial plan is definitely to do more live shows next year. We have some rough plans about doing South America, and then we have some plans about doing USA actually, and we also hopefully will get a European tour going. Probably next autumn or something like that. I would, let's see. So that's our initial plan. But we just have to see how things works out, I guess.
Yeah.
And also we might be sometimes as I said, we don't do compromises. I don't anymore. I'm too old to go on a European tour for a month without any money, for example. That doesn't happen anymore.
Good.
So we have to see how the possibility actually is when we have them. But the plan is definitely to do more live shows next year and to pretty much cover the world if
it's fantastic
all the
to hear.
pieces of the puzzle fits together, so to speak.
No, it makes complete sense. I mean, you already mentioned as well, 25 years next year. The significance of this can't be understated, particularly in regards to how much the music world has changed. How
Yeah.
easy has it been for yourself and the unit and your way of making music been easy to adapt?
Um, Easy or not easy? I'm not, that's good. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it like that. But, my kind of approach to it through the years have been, back in the day when we did the first album, we was recording pretty much live in studio without click. We had, tapes and the old school way of doing it, which had its qualities, definitely. But after a while, had the whole digital revolution now, and nowadays I'm sitting here now in my high-end professional studio, have all the equipment,
Yeah.
almost like available for money, and all that stuff. So things have definitely changed. A lot of things have changed for the better, I would say. For me as a musician now, because I have the equipment that I have, and this barrier of being creative is much less, I would say, because we don't need to deal with a grumpy engineer in a studio that is extremely expensive anymore. We don't need to travel necessarily all the time to record whatever bass or vocals.
Yeah.
So we there are so many things that makes it easier for me as a musician to just make music, and then on the other side, it also makes it's so much more easier for me as a musician to make the music the way I want the music to be. I don't need to depend on, as I said, a grumpy engineer that doesn't really know the music anymore and I just hope for a good mix. Now I can do pretty much everything myself. I know that I can do a good mix on this. And of course, when working with Jens Brugren in Sweden as well, I know that this will be, it will sound fantastic no matter what kind of thing. That makes my life as a creative, musician so much more easier, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I can spend my time on being creative. But on the other side, I guess, and that was something that we focused a little bit on this album, that that there is a very easy tendency in a busy daily life, that I sit in my studio, do my thing, Simon do his stuff in his home studio, and Lars do his stuff, and we this whole band thing kind of dissolves a little bit.
Yeah.
But we actually, on this album, we invest quite some time and money on just being together in studio, as we kind of did it back in the day. We did it, of course, record all the things in a one take in live in studio, but we don't go back to the 50s kind of thing, but we still went a little bit back to the 90s in terms of everybody was present when we did the drums, for example, in studio. Everybody had their opinions about stuff. We mingled around, we bounced around ideas. Same thing when we did the vocals. We joined up in my studio here, just locked the door for 4 days, walked our way through the songs, drinking some beer and having a good time, and just being creative as a unit. That was pretty much wonderful, I would say. And sometimes that's easy to, that kind of band feeling, call it what you want, this bubble, creative bubble you have as a band.
Yeah.
Sometimes in this digital world, I think people might forget about that a little bit, because it's so easy to just sit down in a private studio with a laptop or whatever and cheap sound card that sounds great anyway, and guitar, and that's it kind of thing, So we tried, and I have tried on this album, and I think it sounds true on the album that we try to work as a unit, as a band, more so than we did, for example, on Winter Tries and the album before that as well. So yeah, that was a short answer to your question.
So your positivity is shining here. It's in your voice. It's really pleasing to hear. Is that something, not just because of the release of the album, but something you feel over the industry as a whole, from your perspective?
Yeah, I feel good. In the end of the day, especially on a day like this when the album is out and we all get all the reviews and label people sending me all kinds of awesome, scores like 10 of 10 points all over the place stuff, and 9 of 10. It's pretty crazy. So it's, definitely easy to get carried away on a day like this. But yeah, I mean, bottom line, I feel so damn privileged in a sense. It's kind of almost a little bit emotional for me, at least especially on a day like this, because I'm able to be, in one sense, being able to work with the finest musicians I know. I mean, the finest vocalists I know, Simon and Lars, is beautiful.
Yeah.
People, but they are damn fine vocalists as well, and I'm signed with a great label that, care for us and do their job in a professional way, and good friends of us. I'm privileged, that's I guess that's my point. And it's pretty crazy now, sitting now like 24 years after I started all this thing, and be in this position just because of music, in a sense. It's music. It's a very, for me, it's kind of course, since I'm a musician, it's very kind of, I love music. But if you think a little bit philosophic about it, it's quite mind-puzzling in a sense that music, it doesn't really consist of, I mean, if you have a painting on a wall, you have, that's art from the artist, and I have it in my home and I can touch it, and, music is basically just a gathering of frequencies. It's nothing in a sense, but still it's so powerful. And, for me, being able to sit in my studio now, high-end studio, I have, I feel so privileged, and why not? I can't go grumpy about that, can I?
No, absolutely. I love the way you put it. I completely agree. So we'll wrap up then regarding the future, and it's not where do you see yourself, because you would know that answer. Who knows? The most important question is that there is a future. We expect in X many years to be talking again about your 40th anniversary and so on.
Yeah, definitely. As I said before, for me, it's this is not, for me, this is not a career. It's not a hobby. It's not really, it's for me, it's a lifestyle. It's a life. It's for me, the music we do, or at least my share of the music we do is my life, basically. I mean, that's what gets me up in the mornings, basically. That's what, comforts me in the evening, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife sometimes, when I go a little bit grumpy about things, whatever it is, she's like always, get your ass out to the studio and make some music. And that kind of thing. So she had learned, we have been together for 25 years as well, I guess. So for me, it's a necessity in life. It's almost like eating and drinking. I need it. I just need to do it. Yeah. Whether I will release an album internationally in 20 years from now, with this, I don't know, of course. But what I know is that I will keep on making music in big or smaller scale. I really don't know what happens tomorrow. I mean, everything can happen tomorrow. But my way of living equals music. Yeah. I mean, I have to make music. If not, I don't thrive in life. I mean, I would probably just shrink into something. I don't know. Go grumpy and shrink into being, I don't know.
I think when you put it as it's as important to you as food and drink, that tells everything anyone would ever need to know about your mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it really is. I mean, for me, it's like one of the basic needs in life. I mean, you have a couple of things. You need water, you need food, you need, all those things. But for me, music is one of those prime needs in life, to be able to make music and to be able to the both ways kind of thing. I mean, to enjoy music as a listener, but also to to be able to make my own stuff. It's life, basically.
Yeah,